She was meeting her boyfriend at a local disco. She never made it inside. A monster plucked her right off the street. When he was done with her, he tossed her body on a riverbank like she was nothing, like no one would miss her, like no one would care. He was wrong. Her name was Cheryl Thompson, and this is what happened to her. Between 1975 and 1978, 16 young women went missing and their bodies found in remote areas spanning 2 states, Kentucky and Ohio. The victims' cause of death varied from strangulation, gunshot wounds, beatings, and stabbings. Most of them had been sexually assaulted. Authorities believed that they were looking for multiple assailants, and they were right. Lurking in the shadows were 4 sadistic killers: Larry Ralston, Eugene Gall, Earl Elder, and John Boyd. Before we can examine Cheryl Thompson's case, we must first explore the 16 murders that took place, 8 of which remain unsolved. We're going to take a look at the victims and pin the location of where their bodies were found on this map. Of course, only one man can be responsible for Cheryl Thompson's murder. Was it one of the 4 previously mentioned, or was it someone that Cheryl knew? Victim number 1, Cora Durham, age 27. It's unknown when Cora went missing. She was found nude and strangled in a field in Warren County on June 20th, 1975. Cora's murder remains unsolved. Victim number 2, Linda Harmon, age 17. Linda was reported missing September 2nd, 1975. Her remains were found in some brush near a farm in Claremont County. Larry Ralston was convicted of Linda's murder. Victim number 3, Susan Gorman, age 19. Susan was reported missing Thanksgiving Day, 1975. She was found strangled, robbed, and sexually assaulted in a ditch on December 3, 1975, 4 miles north of Butler, Kentucky, and about 35 miles south of Cincinnati. John Boyd was convicted of Susan's murder. Victim number 4 is unidentified. Authorities referred to her as Miss X, age 15. It's unknown when she went missing. She was found nude and a pair of shorts fastened with a safety pin were lying beside her. The location of her body was on a roadside in Grant County, Kentucky. Cause of death, unknown. Miss X's murder remains unsolved. Victim number 5, Nancy Grigsby, age 23. Nancy was reported missing May 7, 1976. Her remains were found on a gravel road seldom traveled in Claremont County on November 15, 1976. Cause of death, unknown. Larry Ralston was convicted of Nancy's murder. Victim number 6, Carol Klaber, age 16. Carol was reported missing June 4, 1976. She was found partially clad, sexually assaulted, and beaten with a blunt instrument in a ditch in Boone County, Kentucky. Carol's murder remains unsolved. Victim number 7, Mary Hopkins, age 21. Mary was reported missing June 29, 1976. She was found nude and strangled with her t-shirt still around her neck in a wooded area in Hamilton County on June 30, 1976. Larry Ralston was convicted of her murder. Victim number 8, Dorothy Sullivan, age 18. Date of when she went missing is unknown. Dorothy was discovered on the edge of a gravel pit in Hamilton County with her throat cut on August 28, 1976. Earl Elder was convicted of her murder. Victim number 9, Linda Dyer, age 15. Linda was reported missing August 21, 1976. She was found stabbed and strangled 10 feet off a road in Hamilton County on August 25, 1976. Linda's murder remains unsolved. Victim number 10, Victoria Hincher, age 24. Victoria was reported missing October 24, 1976. She was found nude and strangled in a wooded area in Hamilton County on October 31, 1976. Victoria's murder remains unsolved. Victim number 11, Elena Bear, age 15. Elena was reported missing January 15, 1977. She was found nude and strangled in a creek in Clinton County on February 28, 1977. Larry Ralston was convicted of Elena's murder. Victim number 12, Diane McRoby, age 16. Diane was reported missing July 17, 1977. Her remains were found in a state park in Hamilton County. Cause of death unknown. Larry Ralston was convicted of Diane's murder. Victim number 13, Nancy Theobald, age 18. Nancy was reported missing November 16, 1977. She was found in a creek bed fully clothed with a rope around her neck in Butler County on December 26, 1977. Her murder remains unsolved. Victim number 14, Charmaine Stola, age 17. Charmaine was reported missing February 23, 1978. She was found sexually assaulted and strangled in a snowbank on the northern edge of Hamilton County on March 13, 1978. Charmaine's murder remains unsolved. Victim number 15, Cheryl Thompson. Cheryl was found in Hamilton County. We'll go into more details of her case in a moment. The last victim, number 16, Lisa Jansen, age 12. Lisa was abducted, sexually assaulted, and shot to death in a Kentucky valley in Boone County on April 5, 1978. Eugene Gall was convicted of Lisa's murder. These 4 killers had created the perfect storm, each of them killing in similar ways and staying within a small circle of counties that became a graveyard for these young girls. Let's look deeper into the details of Cheryl Thompson's murder and see what connections, if any, can be made between Cheryl and what happened to the other victims. Cheryl Thompson was a 19-year-old University of Cincinnati freshman studying nursing. Her family described Cheryl as loving, kind, and always had a big smile on her face. Her brother Bill said she was a very caring person, and the family always knew that Cheryl would pick a career where she could help people. The UC student lived on campus at Helen Siddall Hall, and in between classes and studying, Cheryl worked part-time for Dr. Howard Pfister in Mount Auburn. March of 1978 was the start of spring break, and Cheryl was happy to return home and spend time with her family. Time that her parents, William and Betty Thompson, would look back on and cherish. Those last sweet moments with their daughter, until life turned upside down. Cheryl would spend her last hours at her parents' apartment at 8312 Worcester Pike, Cincinnati. It was just an ordinary day. No one remembered anything unusual. Cheryl had plans to meet up with her boyfriend at a disco not far from home. Cheryl spent the evening with her 16-year-old brother, Danny. They had a great time watching TV, laughing, joking, and making TV dinners. At around 10:30 p.m., Cheryl said goodbye to her brother, then headed out to meet her boyfriend. Chief Deputy Victor Corelli gave this statement detailing how events unfolded once Cheryl left her parents' apartment and was later reported missing. Cheryl was en route to Gatsby's Disco at 3225 Madison Road in Oakley. Travel time was estimated at 15 minutes. Cheryl never made it inside. Her boyfriend said he waited until around midnight, and when she didn't show up, he went looking for her. Upon finding her locked car parked illegally on Marburg Ave, the boyfriend went to Cheryl's parents' apartment to pick up a second set of car keys from her brother Danny. After he returned to the car and moved it to a legal parking space, he continued his search. 2 hours later, at around 2 a.m., Cheryl's boyfriend returned to where the car had been parked and saw a man inside driving away. He gave chase but lost the car on Paxton Avenue near Hyde Park Plaza. Her car was later found Saturday morning on Bach Avenue. Cheryl's brother Danny reported her missing when family and friends couldn't find her. Corelli went on to say that the mysterious circumstances of Cheryl's disappearance made it look like more than an ordinary missing persons case. Authorities were alerted to be on the lookout for Cheryl Thompson, age 19. Blonde hair, 5 feet 2 inches tall, and weighing 95 pounds. Last seen wearing a black sweater with white stripes and blue jeans. Last known location was near Gatsby's Disco in Oakley. Police canvassed areas in and around Oakley, searching vacant buildings and lots, and even checking swimming pools. When the search was complete, they began going door to door to see if anyone had seen Cheryl. There were no traces of her. It was as if she had disappeared into thin air. Using a helicopter donated by the Ohio Highway Patrol, officers searched for more than 2.5 hours over 3 counties, including areas where the bodies of the other young women had been recovered. And still, authorities had no answers for the Thompson family. Time seemed to stand still for Cheryl's friends and loved ones. Searches continued and every lead was followed up on. Authorities were frustrated, and William and Betty Thompson were heartbroken. Where could their daughter be? The thoughts of what might have happened to Cheryl tortured them every second of the day. 2 weeks after the Thompsons last saw their daughter, they finally received the answers that they had been dreading. On April 8, 1978, their beautiful daughter Cheryl was found murdered. Ohio State Game Warden Mike Serio stopped to check licenses of fishermen along the Little Miami River in Loveland. The location was on the east side of the 260 block of East Kemper Road. Serio said, "I was checking along the riverbank when I saw a lady's foot. The body was entangled in some brush." Serio immediately notified authorities. Police Chief Robert Jordan reported that Cheryl's body was down an embankment from the gravel berm of the road and about 20 feet from the river. Jordan said, "You could see her shoulder-length dark blonde hair." Chief Jordan went on to say that Cheryl appeared to have been sexually assaulted. Her underclothes were in disarray. She was wearing shoes, socks, and a pearl ring. No other articles of clothing were found at the scene. Jordan stated that Cheryl had been strangled and that they believed she had been there for no more than 3 days because the bruises on her neck appeared to be fresh. If investigators were correct, that meant that Cheryl was held captive for 12 days before she was finally strangled to death and thrown onto the bank of the Little Miami River. Before an official cause of death was released, Dr. Paul Jolly, the county's chief deputy coroner in '78, had this to say: "There are some things we won't release, so the killer won't know what we know. Jolly went on to report that Cheryl's body was found in generally good condition and not badly decomposed. Cheryl died both of a blood clot on the brain, caused by injuries to the head, and strangulation. Jolly said the head injuries occurred prior to the strangulation. He said the head injuries could have been caused by a beating with anything from fists to a blunt instrument. After authorities recovered Cheryl's body and had an official cause of death, the first person they began focusing on was Eugene Gall. Gall was paroled April 12, 1977, after serving 5 years for armed robbery, kidnapping, and sexually assaulting a 15-year-old at gunpoint. Prior to serving his sentence for those crimes, Gall spent 19 months in a mental hospital. Once released on parole, Eugene Gall never again received treatment for his mental problems. On April 5, 1978, just 3 days before authorities found Cheryl Thompson's body, Gall abducted 12-year-old Lisa Jansen on her way to school. He sexually assaulted her and shot her once in the back of the neck and once in the chest. Gall dumped Lisa's body in a creek bed in rural Boone County, Kentucky. 2 hours later, he robbed a grocery store and shot a state trooper twice in the chest before he was apprehended. Is it possible that Eugene Gall is responsible for Cheryl Thompson's murder? Did he dump Cheryl beside the Little Miami River in the early morning hours of April 5th, and then in a murderous frenzy abduct Lisa Jansen at 7:45 a.m. that same morning, murder her, rob a store, and shoot a state trooper? Could he have been that out of control? Cheryl and Lisa only lived 2.5 miles apart. Could Gall have been stalking them both before their murders? Cheryl was alive for 12 days before she was beaten and strangled. Gall was living with his parents when Cheryl went missing. Gall's mother stated that a few weeks before her son murdered Lisa Jansen, he bought a new car and a boat. Is it possible that Cheryl may have been kept alive on Gall's boat? This is one theory I have about why Cheryl's car was parked illegally and how she was abducted. I think it's possible Cheryl may have decided to change the plans that she had made with her boyfriend. She quickly parked the car illegally, thinking she would only be a minute inside the disco. What Cheryl didn't realize was that she had been followed by her assailant, and he grabbed her as soon as she got out of her car. The assailant went back later to move her car in an attempt to conceal it and give himself more time before she was finally reported missing. Gall was paroled in April of 1977. By October, he was becoming more dangerous than ever. Beth Ann Moat was walking to school in Dayton, Ohio, when Gall forced her into his car at knife point. Gall then attempted to calm the girl by forcing her to write a ransom note, which he used later. 7 days later, the 14-year-old Moat was found stabbed to death in a wooded area. Gall was later convicted of her murder. Elder, Boyd, and Ralston were either in prison or in police custody when Thompson, Theobald, and Stoller were murdered, so that only leaves Gall as a possible suspect in these crimes. The last theory that I will offer you is about a possible connection between Nancy Theobald and Cheryl Thompson. Both girls were around the same age, and both were students at the University of Cincinnati. Their murders were just 4 months apart, and I think that there is a strong possibility that they were likely being stalked by the same killer while on campus. In 2012, evidence in Cheryl's case was analyzed and produced a partial profile that didn't point to anyone whose DNA had been collected at state and federal levels. Recently, the coroner's office discovered more DNA from Cheryl's case when they were cleaning house to move to a new building. Investigators hope to bridge the gap with the new DNA and the partial profile to search the genealogy databases. The profile is small, so authorities are being very selective in how it's used. Detective Steve Mosters said in 2020 that he remained hopeful, and he is working with the cold case unit that is part of Ohio's Bureau of Criminal Investigation. What happened to Cheryl Thompson and the other victims is horrifying and a complete miscarriage of justice. We can only hope that with this infusion of brand new technology, we can move one step closer to solving these cold cases and bring peace to the families of these victims. As for Eugene Gall, he continues to live out his days in prison and is eligible for parole, and this is why. Gall was sentenced to death for the murder of 12-year-old Lisa Jansen. In 2001, a federal appeals court overturned Gall's conviction in Kentucky, saying prosecutors failed to prove key elements in the case. Kentucky turned Gall over to Ohio in 2001 to serve a sentence for multiple attacks on girls, including the murder of Moat. The court's decision to clear Gall of Jansen's murder means no one will be held legally responsible for her death, and the conviction cannot be held against Gall when he faces the parole board to be set free. Was Gall responsible for the death of Cheryl Thompson, or was it a stalker hunting for victims on the university campus? Could it have been someone she became acquainted with at the doctor's office where she worked part-time? Perhaps it's none of these. Perhaps she was randomly chosen by an unknown predator on March 24, 1978. Cheryl's parents, William and Betty Thompson, have passed away, but her brothers keep pushing forward in their search to bring their sister Cheryl's killer to justice. If you have any information about the murder of Cheryl Thompson, please contact the Loveland Police Department at 513-583-3000. Thank you for watching today, and thank you for helping us reach another milestone of 2,000 subscribers. As always, please like and subscribe. Please share this video with a friend, and remember to comment your thoughts and opinions on the Cheryl Thompson cold case. Until I see you again with another cold case, be well and stay safe. This has been Eye on Justice.